It is Thursday, February 3rd. Hey guys, it's day one. Day one, 24 hours since my last episode of Time2Football. And guess what? I'm still on the air. I'm still here. I'm not canceled. If you tuned into yesterday's live stream, you saw that I was canceled. Because I mishapped and I stumbled on my words, talked about the Washington football team uniform. Talked about the all-black alternatives. I thought I would be canceled, but I'm not. Here I am. And we welcome you guys into a brand new episode of Time2Football. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of this channel that we like to call Time2Football. Glad you guys are able to join us for this wonderful, marvelous, amazing, beautiful, oh, so amazing Thursday, February 3rd. The only Thursday, February 3rd, 2022 that you'll ever see in your whole life. So make the most of it. Make the best of it. You know, it's like, what's it called? That reminds me of, everybody nowadays has a podcast, right? Like everybody has a podcast. And there's only a few that I listen to out there. One being Chris D'Elia. I know that he's probably canceled too. But Chris D'Elia is a comedian. He's actually very, very hilarious, I think, in my opinion. So I listen to him a lot. Sean Landry, who joins us for the show, I was actually listening to his episode of Go for Glory prior to going out on air here. So, Sean, if you're listening in, great episode. I agree with you on your list of players. But, everybody has a podcast nowadays, and everybody's talking about, how it said, this is the best day of your life. This is the greatest day of your life. Well, all the podcasts nowadays, especially like men that make podcasts, are like, here's the thing. The reason I've been able to get so many girls in my life is because I tell them, check your attitude. And the woman will flip out at me, say like, oh, you don't talk to me like that. And they're like, no, check your attitude. And then I'll talk to you. And that's the most alpha move in the world that you can do. Dude, alpha males with podcasts is the worst thing of probably the greatest worst thing of 2022 that has happened right now that people are starting to realize as alpha males with podcasts. The worst thing. What the heck am I talking about? We're going to talk about the NFL in this episode of Time2Football. We're going to be talking about NFL news and notes, as well as talking about Jimmy Garoppolo and his future with the 49ers. Now, he had a press conference actually yesterday or maybe the day before where he came out and said straight up, I don't think I'm going to be staying with the 49ers. It's written in the wall. Like, it's already there. Like, I'm going to be moving on to another team. I'm already talking to General Manager John Lynch. We've already announced this. Like, Kyle Shanahan has been very transparent. You're not going to be here for 2022. So we're going to be diving into that. We're going to be talking about like what if scenarios, like if Jimmy Garoppolo won the Super Bowl, if he lost the Super Bowl, like what would have happened and would Jimmy Garoppolo stay with the Super Bowl? So it's going to be lots of fun. We're going to be talking about that, as well as talking about the question of the day that I want to be bringing up with you guys. And I want to get your opinions on this because Jim Harbaugh actually called out or actually interviewed, didn't call out of the interview. He actually flew out to Minnesota to interview for the Minnesota Vikings job. And then later that day, after the interview, he was like, I'm staying in Michigan. I ain't going anywhere. So I'm thinking to myself, what happened in that interview? What was said in that interview? And what exactly changed Jim Harbaugh's mind and made him lose interest in that job? Well, he's going to be staying with Michigan. That means that the news has come out that Kevin O'Connell, the Rams offensive coordinator, has become the front runner to land the Minnesota Vikings job. And I want to ask you guys, is Kevin O'Connell a good hire by the Minnesota Vikings? They can't finalize a deal until after the Super Bowl since the Rams are still playing. But the Rams offensive coordinator who coached with Sean McVay in Washington has kind of branched off from that from that Sean McVay coaching tree, which is actually crazy to think of. Like, you have Zach Taylor already in a Super Bowl. You have Kevin O'Connell now getting a head coaching gig. Like, Sean McVay at 36 years old is like pumping out these coaches left and right that are going to be hired by NFL teams. But I want to ask you guys, do you think that Kevin O'Connell is a good hire by the Rams or by the Minnesota Vikings to leave the Rams? And you can get your opinion or you can leave your opinion by going to our Discord. Throughout the duration of the show, if you guys feel like calling in to the show, I encourage you guys to head on over to our Discord and join our Discord server. Click that link in the description. You can use or look at the voice channels, join the waiting room, hang out in there, and then I'm going to be pulling some people and talking with them throughout the duration of the show. So at any point, if you want to jump in, you can jump in and talk with us. If you guys want to go ahead and join us during the live show, you guys can live stream this on YouTube, and you can join us live on there. Or if you listen to this podcast later on the iTunes app, head over to our YouTube channel, subscribe to us on there. We've got Earthly Links actually joining us. What's up, my guy? Keep it going. Fire, fire, fire. Fantasy football is done for some time now, but never had a bad time to start rest for the next season. Yes. Yes. I'm going to get an early head start on this. I've actually been dabbling with Reddit more. I have a Reddit account. I just haven't been really talking too much about there or on there about Time2Football. And so I've been talking in like the forums of the fantasy football community and really getting like building relationships with other people. For instance, I found out that another guy had a fantasy football podcast, so I'll be reaching out to him for some collabs when we talk about fantasy football. But yeah, I mean, if you guys haven't heard, the idea is we're going to do weekly updates. It's kind of like an educational course. It's kind of like school, but it's fun. Like it's fantasy football. I'm going to teach you guys how I calculate my stats, how I come up with my rankings, and how it's, as a matter of fact, not me bragging, but more accurate than ESPN. I said it. Last year was very accurate. Hey, Mike Williams is a 9th rounder. No, he's a 4th rounder. Proceeds to have the best season of his career. Hey, Jamar Chase is dropping balls. Oh, no, he's going to be a top 10 wide receiver. Proceeds to have the greatest rookie wide receiver season. Hey, DeAndre Swift is a 3rd rounder. Actually, a 4th rounder because Jamal Williams is there. No, he's actually going to be a top 6 fantasy running back. Proceeds to be the number 6 half PPR running back before he got hurt. So, I mean, I'm just saying. If you want to tune into our fantasy rankings, this offseason is the way to do it. Every single Friday, probably starting like late February, early March, I'm going to start these videos. It's an educational course. Don't want to miss out on that. NFL overview, asking how's it going? It's going spectacular. You know, I'm doing really, really well. How are you, NFL overview? I haven't heard anything from you in a while, so I'd definitely love to chat with you and see what's going on in your life. But let's get into NFL news and notes. What's going on today as of Thursday, February 3rd? Okay, the biggest news right now is the Brian Flores story. We are following this. This is huge. Stephen Ross, the owner of the Miami Dolphins, is being accused of bribing Brian Flores. Now, new details has emerged in the last 24 hours. So there's an interview of Brian Flores on Get Up with Mike Greenberg and a couple of his lawyers too. And he said that, which by the way, go on YouTube, type in Brian Flores interview, watch it. It's 20 minutes long, but the whole thing is fantastic. You hear his side where he's coming from, and you kind of hear him talk about the stuff, and you're like, oh geez, like he actually might be telling the truth on this. So I encourage you guys to go back and watch that interview. But Brian Flores also talked about, Stephen Ross. You know, he kind of shed more light on, he was bribing me. He wanted the number 1 overall pick in 2020 to get Joe Burrow. And then also the Denver Broncos and the New York Giants already had their minds made up, but they were proceeding with the NFL interview with Brian Flores because they needed to meet that requirement of interviewing diversity coaches because of the Rooney Rule. Like, it's a fantastic interview. Go back and watch it. Well, new details has emerged to where Stephen Ross has come out and said, we are going to comply with the NFL in our investigation. We have nothing to hide. Ooh, it's getting juicy. You got nothing to hide. But there's been sources close to Brian Flores that have said, actually, Stephen Ross has come out and said these things. We have evidence. So I'm so interested to hear and see what happens with this battle between Stephen Ross and Brian Flores. Hugh Jackson, as a matter of fact, kind of backed up Brian Flores. Jackson is currently the head coach at Grambling State University, has not had an NFL head coaching gig since his time with the Cleveland Browns. And with his time with the Cleveland Browns, he said that Jimmy Haslam offered him money as well. Was kind of low-key about it, underneath the shadows, but he kind of gave up the vibe that, Jimmy Haslam also bribed Hugh Jackson to lose some games as well. So it's getting good, man. It's getting good. Brian Flores. We'll be keeping that up, or keeping up to date with that for as long as it's going on. We've got some head coaching news going around the league. So we've got the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about Kevin O'Connell at the start of the show. We've got Kevin O'Connell joining in. Could be a favorite to land with the Minnesota Vikings. The Buffalo Bills are going to be officially hiring Joe Brady as a quarterback coach. So we reported yesterday, 24 hours ago, that the Chicago Bears had interest in signing Joe Brady to their staff. And it was pretty much a done deal, it seemed like. Well, then Joe Brady, I guess, got a better offer. I don't know what happened. But the Bills are going to have Joe Brady as a quarterback's coach. The Chicago Bears, however, on their side, on the defensive side of the ball, they are promoting the safeties coach of the Indianapolis Colts, Alan Williams, to be their next defensive coordinator. Obviously, Matt Eberflus, who is a defensive coordinator over in Indianapolis, has worked with Alan Williams. Feels like he's the right man for the job to lead the defense for the Chicago Bears, which was actually not that bad of a defense last year. The Denver Broncos, Clint Kubiak, has been hired as a pass game coordinator and the QB's coach, while Justin Outen, am I saying that correctly, has been promoted to be the offensive coordinator from being the tight end coach in Green Bay. And that's your head coaching news. Now, practice news. There's no game this weekend. There's a Pro Bowl, but the Super Bowl is next week. Still, though, they're going to have estimated practice reports leading up to next week. So you don't have practice. You don't have practice yesterday, but leading up to the Super Bowl, they're going to have estimations. I mean, we see this throughout the NFL season when a team has a short week and you don't want to go from a game straight to a practice. You have estimated reports. Like if you held a practice today, who's going to be limited, who's going to be full, who's going to be a non-participant. The non-participants, we would keep it up with the tight ends, the star tight ends for each team, CJ Uzomah and Tyler Higbee, both of them suffering MCL sprains. Tyler Higbee's is a little bit more optimistic. He is day to day, but he was a non-participant in the estimated practice report for the Rams. CJ Uzomah, MCL sprain, his is a little bit more serious. He's a little bit more questionable. Has a chance to play, but he was a non-participant in the estimated practice report for the Cincinnati Bengals. Cam Akers has popped up as a non-participant in the estimated practice report with a shoulder injury for the LA Rams. Now, don't worry too much about this. He was taken out of the game against the 49ers for however long, however many drives, but then he eventually came back into the game and was able to finish out the game. So do not freak out about Cam Akers. He should be good to go for Super Bowl 56. That's just your practice news for today. Juju Smith-Schuster in an event sponsoring 7-Eleven with Dak Prescott on the panel as well, has talked about, and he admitted, Juju Smith-Schuster said, I will not be returning to the Pittsburgh Steelers. More than likely, I am heading to free agency. That's what he said. This is the second straight season where Juju is going to dabble with free agency. Last year, it took a long time before someone signed him, and it was the Pittsburgh Steelers to a one-year deal. So I'm thinking to myself, does he not have that good of a market out there for him? Because I think he wanted to resign with the Pittsburgh Steelers to prove himself, give himself one more deal or one more year because he just didn't have that big of a market. I think the Kansas City Chiefs last year were also a team interested in Juju Smith-Schuster. So it'd be interesting to see if this year again they pursue Juju to go to Kansas City. Malik Willis visits with the Saints. Now we've got, I got a little fuzz here. We've got draft prospects visiting teams now. And Malik Willis is the first big name that we hear is going to the New Orleans Saints and visiting the New Orleans Saints. And I don't know if he held out a workout or what. It just says he visited the New Orleans Saints. So the former Auburn quarterback who transferred to Liberty had a very good season. He's a second rounder, late first round prospect in many mock drafts. So Malik Willis could be the future quarterback of the New Orleans Saints if they liked what they saw in that visit. And that is your NFL news and notes for today. NFL overview saying I'm doing pretty well. Got to go watch my league's loser eat some hot wings last Sunday, so that was cool. You got punishments. Punishments for 12th place. We should be doing that in our league. We don't do that. We should, though. We should. But, also at the same time, was this person paying attention in your league? Because if they weren't paying attention, then it's like, dang. Like, they weren't that invested in the first place, so, like, seeing them eat hot wings, it's, like, not that satisfying. I don't know. That's just me. That's your NFL news and notes for today. Now let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo and his future with the San Francisco 49ers. So, interesting stuff that's been developing as of late. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo has come out and said, listen, it's no secret about what Kyle Shanahan, what John Lynch, and Jimmy G want to do for the future of Jimmy Garoppolo and his brand and where he wants to go. So I'm going to go ahead and play a video real quick showing you the press conference of Jimmy Garoppolo and what he said, and then I'm going to get back to you guys.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit. I think more will happen in the days to come. But yeah, these guys have been very upfront about the whole thing. I was talking to John yesterday just about finding the right destination and whatever the future holds, just doing it the right way. And it's got a long career ahead of me, so I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the opportunities to come. I just want to go to a place where where they want to win. I mean, that's really what I'm in this game for. I'm here to play football, here to win football games, and as long as I got that and good people around me, I think the rest will take care of itself.
So that's what Jimmy Garoppolo said in response to, hey, what's your future looking like for the San Francisco 49ers? Are you staying? Are you leaving? What's going to happen? If you've been following the NFL for a long time, for the past year, since the offseason, since they drafted Trey Lance, and I'm not saying just following the NFL as far as, okay, I just watch the games and that's it. I'm saying if you keep up with NFL news, keep up with press conferences, what people are saying behind the scenes, then you know it's no secret that ever since the day they drafted Trey Lance, Kyle Shanahan has been transparent, which I appreciate. Like, something about Kyle Shanahan more than any other coach is that he is straight up. He does not go beat around the bush. I mean, sometimes he'll like withhold information if he knows that like, okay, I don't want the other team to like game plan accordingly. Like, I'm not going to give out my game plan. I'm not going to like he'll be kind of secretive in those aspects. But as far as like, hey, I want no drama. If there's nothing like no distractions, if there's something that's distracting the team, I'm going to be straight up and address it. And the issue with this was Trey Lance, Jimmy Garoppolo, who's going to be the quarterback of the future? He straight up said, nah, it's Trey Lance. We know that Jimmy G isn't going to be here for a while. And that while only lasted a year, 1 year. They knew this whole entire season, Jimmy Garoppolo, this was his last season. Now the question is, a couple things you got to look into. One, where is Jimmy G going to go? Where's he going to be traded to? Where's John Lynch? And they're going to find the right place for Jimmy Garoppolo, not just what's best for the organization, but because of what Jimmy Garoppolo has done for that team. I think they want the best interest for Jimmy G, and they don't want to, burn any bridges and ship him off to a winning organization. And number two, it's fun to really look at the NFL side of things. Like, if this happened, then would Jimmy G still be a San Francisco 49er? So I actually came up with a couple of scenarios. If he won Super Bowl 54 against the Kansas City Chiefs, and if he won Super Bowl 56 this season, would he have stayed with the 49ers? Kind of going off the timeline of Jimmy Garoppolo and how his career with the 49ers went. Was traded from the Patriots to the 49ers in 2017. Looked great. Signed a 5-year, $137 million contract extension to stay with the 49ers. 2018, only played 1 or 2 games before he got hurt. 2019, led them to a Super Bowl. 2020, hurt again, missed 10 games. 2021, played the full season, but he ended up not being the quarterback of the future. So, if they went to the Super Bowl in 2019 and they won against the Kansas City Chiefs, they didn't blow the lead. They were able to hold on to the lead, and they were able to win. I came up with a list of what-if scenarios if that actually were to have happened. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this. So if the 49ers won Super Bowl 54, Jimmy Garoppolo stays with the 49ers for one more season. Actually, as a matter of fact, the graphic is up for you guys that are live streaming this right now. So let me go ahead and pull down that graphic so you guys can see. All right, there, much better. Much better. All right, so let's go back here. If the 49ers won Super Bowl 54, Jimmy Garoppolo, takeaway number one, he stays with the 49ers for one more season. His contract runs out at the end of 2022. I'd figure, hey, he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback. He led us to a championship. Let's give him one more year. Let's just write out his contract, and then we'll just go from there. So because of that, because they want to give him one more year because he won a Super Bowl, well, back in the 2021 draft, if he won Super Bowl 54, the 49ers would not have drafted Trey Lance. They would not have traded up for Trey Lance. Now, they had the number 12 overall pick before trading up to the number 3 pick to grab Trey Lance. It was Mac Jones, Trey Lance that they talked about over and over again. So maybe at number 12 they could have drafted Mac Jones, but I think that they would not have drafted Trey Lance or traded up and been that aggressive. Because they wouldn't have been that aggressive, take away number 3. San Francisco would have a first-round pick this season in this year's draft. They don't have a first-rounder because of that trade that they made for Trey Lance. And with that first-round pick, since they know that this could be the last year on the contract of Jimmy Garoppolo in 2022, they could draft a quarterback. And where they're picking right now, it could be Sam Howell, could be Malik Willis, who knows? But that is the scenarios of if the 49ers actually won Super Bowl 54, that's what Jimmy Garoppolo and his future would look like. He would stay with the 49ers, I believe, for another season. Now, say for instance, they lost Super Bowl 56 and they lost Super Bowl 54 and they won Super Bowl 56. Like they beat the Rams, they advanced to the Super Bowl, they faced the Bengals, and they beat the Bengals. Would Jimmy Garoppolo really stay with the 49ers for another season? The answer to that is no. Because they already made up their minds. Kyle Shanahan and company already made up their minds. We are moving on. Jimmy Garoppolo is not the future. We like Trey Lance. He's a first-round pick. We like the talent and the athleticism and the dynamic ability that he brings to the passing game. So we are going to roll with him. So even if Jimmy G were to beat the Rams and advance to the Super Bowl, even if he wins the Super Bowl, this would have been his last season with the 49ers. I wholeheartedly believe that. Now, if he wins Super Bowl 54 back in the day in 2019, and he wins this Super Bowl, you can best believe that Jimmy Garoppolo is going to sign another 5-year, $137 million contract. He's going to stay with the 49ers for a very long time. But because of just one or maybe even both of those Super Bowls he didn't win, Jimmy Garoppolo's future in San Francisco is numbered. Now the question becomes, where's he going to go? I know that we've talked about some teams in the past. We talked about the Panthers. We talked about the Saints. It's a domino effect. Like if the Green Bay Packers move on from Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson from Seattle, you could essentially see Garoppolo going to either one of those teams, maybe even the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know. But that's for Jimmy Garoppolo and for John Lynch and everybody else to come to a conclusion and to decide what is the best place for Jimmy G. I just want to talk about if they won the Super Bowl, what would be the scenarios of Jimmy Garoppolo and his future? But leave your comments down below. I would definitely love to hear your thoughts. What does the future hold for Jimmy G? All right, so now you guys, again, reminder, you can call into the show, talk about anything you guys want to talk about. Join that Discord server. Let me see if there's anybody hanging out in the Discord chat right now. I don't believe there is, but, it's wide open. It's wide open, so I encourage you guys to go ahead and join us for that chat and let us know your thoughts. But I'm going to go ahead and see what you guys are saying right here in the live chat right now. We got Roger tuning in saying, delivering mail here in San Antonio. It's funny most of the city is shut down just because of a little ice and temperature drop. Prayers for everyone in the Northeast. Oh, okay. I didn't hear about this. Like, there's actually like bad weather going on right now. Hey, listen, from a man that lives in the South just like you, I sympathize. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, I live in like the Atlanta area. So I understand. Like there's been times where the whole city gets shut down. If there's just even a little bit of powder on the ground, everything gets shut down. Some of it is logical. Some of it is not, but hey, I mean, we had snow here during the wild card round of the playoffs this season, and it was nice. We jumped in a hot tub while it was snowing, watching the Eagles and the Bucks play. It was fantastic. But all right, well, that seems like to be the end of the live chat. Is this going to be the shortest podcast in Time to Football history? Will it be? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'll hang out here for another minute or two. But in case you guys missed the question of the day, I want to go ahead and remind you guys that is Kevin O'Connell a good hire for the Minnesota Vikings? That's the question of the day because he's become the front runner after Jim Harbaugh has decided to back out of that gig. By the way, I guess I could take this time to announce or give some announcements right now. I don't know for sure if I'm going to be doing a podcast tomorrow. I know that Friday is where we talk about prediction strike and we talk about prize picks. Well, if there's no game, there's no point. There's no point of talking about them. We're going to be pushing that back to next week. So we're taking a week off from the sponsors this week. So Friday, not going to be based off of that. And the other reason why I may not be doing a podcast tomorrow is because I may have to be driving from Atlanta all the way to Huntsville, Alabama, because me and my hot brunette wife were in the Huntsville area because our family's from there probably like a month ago. And we were driving at night and we got 3 tickets. So we got a headlight that like the headlight's not out. It just like kind of like shuts off if it gets overheated. Got a ticket for that. Got a ticket for driving without insurance. We just left it at home. We have insurance, just left the card at home. And then the tag is expired. So we live in a different state, but the tag, like it's an Alabama tag. So we just didn't have time to go get it. So we got 3 tickets for that. But they're tickets that you can fix. Like the officer was nice. He pulled me over. He's like, do you know why I put you? You're the host of Time2Football. I'm like, you must be one of the 8 people tuning in right now. What? Thank you. So he was very nice. And he said, yeah, just get these things fixed and you don't have to pay. You don't have to go to court. Like, fix it. Not on your record. You're good. Well, the downfall of that is it was in Alabama, 4 hours away. So I may honestly, because it might affect my insurance. If I just pay for it and I accept the ticket, it may increase my insurance. I have to look into that. But I have to go during business hours to Alabama, 4 hours there, and then drive 4 hours back home. So it's going to be an 8-hour drive. So because of that, it's going to be during business hours, and I may not be able to do the show. I'm not, like, no one's really trained to do this, like, operate anything here, so I can't have a fill-in. So we may not have a show tomorrow. We may not have a show tomorrow. We'll have to see. But I'll keep you guys updated with that. Now, next week, the live streams. We're not going to be doing live streams next week because we're going to be interviewing players. In case you guys don't know about this, every Super Bowl week, we get to have the privilege of interviewing the teams that are participating in the Super Bowl. So next week, we're going to be interviewing, hopefully, I mean, it's probably a long shot to get the big names out there, but hopefully like Joe Burrow could be in the mix. The biggest names that we interviewed last year were Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We were able to interview some pretty big names. And then the year prior to that, we actually interviewed Tyreek Hill, George Kittle. So we got some big names. I'm excited to see if we were able to land someone like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Joe Mixon, maybe even for the Bengals side. On the Rams side, maybe Matthew Stafford, maybe Odell. I don't know. We're going to have to see. But we're going to be interviewing players, and you're going to have to join Zoom calls. It's going to be media sessions, and that's going to be happening during the time we do these live shows, pretty much so. No live shows because of that. But instead, we're going to be interviewing them. We're going to post those interviews to our YouTube channel so you guys can enjoy those interviews. But the next time we will be going live, if we don't go live tomorrow, is going to be Super Bowl Sunday. We're going to have a special Super Bowl Sunday show. And for you guys that are tuning in right now, an announcement. I'm going to go ahead and confirm. Maybe I'm a little bit premature because we haven't figured out a time yet. But for you guys that are huge fantasy football fans, we've got a special guest for you guys. Mason Dodd, the guy that hosts Fantasy Flock, the Fantasy Flock YouTube channel. You know about him. I'm pretty sure you guys know. But if you watch this channel, you know about Mason Dodd. You know about the Fantasy Flock channel. Like, fantastic stuff. Like, he is one of the hardest working people out there. And this has come from a YouTuber that acknowledges, like, dude, you're live streaming after a Sunday, like Sunday Night Football. It's 11:30 p.m. and you're live streaming, like, and he's got the bags underneath his, like, he works hard. So I'm going to bring him on. I'm going to interview him. I'm going to get his thoughts on Super Bowl, get his predictions. I'm also going to be talking about him with his channel and talking about how he grew and just kind of going off of that and yeah, I'm excited about this conversation that we're going to have with Mason of Fantasy Flock channel. But that's it. That's it for the announcements that we've got. Let's see what you guys are saying. If you guys said anything else, thoughts on the NFL draft going to a lottery system like the NBA to alleviate game tanking for draft position. Okay, so that could be a topic of conversation, given that Stephen Ross, Jimmy Haslam, and company are in the conversation of under fire with the allegations from Brian Flores and company of tanking. Thoughts on that, man? This is what I do for my fantasy football draft. I do the same thing. It's kind of like a lottery system. And we base it off of like a formula. Like, we don't award like, okay, if you had the worst record, you get the first pick. In fantasy football, it doesn't work that way. Instead, we award the people that, hey, if you keep trying, even if you're eliminated from the playoffs, you have a chance of getting a better pick next year. It's like an incentive. So it's like, oh man, I'm out of the playoffs, even though there's like 3 games left in the regular season. I'm just tapping out. I'm not setting my lineup. Well, then the people that face you, they're probably in playoff contention and they have an easy win against you. So to incentivize, is that the word? People to keep on playing, we go like, hey, the more wins you get, the more points you score, the less losses you have. Just like a different formula. Like we put it all into a formula. Like the better performance that you have for the season, pretty much, like the higher your chances of getting called for the number 1 overall pick in the NFL or in the fantasy football draft. We put you guys in the lottery, like you have a higher chance. That's the formula that we use. So I think that works for fantasy football. For the NFL draft, I don't think necessarily it's going to be the best because I get it. Like, you don't want teams to tank. But what's so great about the NFL compared to the NBA is there's just a level of, like, it's even throughout the league. Like, on any given Sunday, any team could win. You could have, like we saw this year, like you saw teams like the Jets beat the Titans, the Jets beat the AFC champions, the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's because almost every team is on an even playing field because of the talent that they get throughout the draft. So I like the idea of, okay, to make the teams more even and making the NFL more competitive than maybe the NBA. Like, let's give a chance to, like, the Jacksonville Jaguars number 1 overall pick instead of, like, maybe, I don't know, like somehow, some way, if it lands in the favor of the Atlanta Falcons getting the number 1 overall pick. Even though they didn't have a great season, they still went 7-10. And if they have the number 1 overall pick, they could draft someone like Kayvon Thibodeau or Aiden Hutchinson and really step above and be so much better, and then go from 7-10 to like 10-7 and make the postseason just because of one player. So I like how it is now, but something does need to change to stop Stephen Ross and all those allegations from happening and incentivizing them to lose. Roger saying, am I a degenerate gambler if I put some money at Prize Picks for the Pro Bowl? LOL. Do they have the Pro Bowl picks? I don't believe they do. You know what? I'm going to double check with that right now and see if they are doing that, because that would be crazy if they did. Sign into that. Allow. No, it's just a Super Bowl. But if they did have, dude, if they did have a Pro Bowl, I'd say, dude, F it, man. F it. Just do it. Just do it. Because you feel like it. Talking about the draft lottery, maybe a lottery for the bottom 6 teams for the number 1 overall pick. Maybe. It a lot of options out there. I mean, I don't really follow the NBA too much, but has it been successful? Has it been okay? I haven't heard anything about it like it being a complaint. So maybe it could work for the NFL. Just something to talk about, and I think a lot of people are going to be discussing that in the coming weeks while the NFL is investigating everybody for these allegations. I'm going to go ahead and sign off right here for this episode of Time to Football. Kind of disappointing to hear that this might be the last time I'm joining you guys. But we'll see. We'll see. If you guys don't see a podcast tomorrow, this is why, because I got to go to court. It sucks, but you got to do what you got to do. Adulting, man. Adulting. Hey, with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching. And remember, if you're an alpha male with a podcast, screw you.